So there's one more thing now I'd like us to do on this form, and that is to give the user the ability to delete an ingredient that they've added. So for example, if I add a couple of ingredients right here, and then at a later point in time want to delete these ingredients because I made a mistake, I'd like to see some little icon over on the right here, like a trash can, which when I click it is going to delete this ingredient so it doesn't get added to the recipe. So let's go about doing this. First of all, we need to add in the HTML to add that delete button to the page. Now I'm going to place it just after the ingredient right here that we output. So we'll say I, first of all, because we're going to output an icon right here. So the class will be material hash hyphen icons. We're also going to give this a class of delete. That's just so we can style it, nothing to do with Google icons. And then what we'll do inside here is say delete. We'll also attach a click event to this. So we'll say at click and set that equal to a function. We've not created this function yet, but we'll call it delete ing for delete ingredient. We also need to pass through a parameter into this function so we know which one to delete. So we'll pass through the ingredient that we want to delete. Remember, we get that here when we use v-for. So when we click it now, we're going to pass that ingredient through to this delete ing function. So let's create that now. We'll go down to methods, and under add ing, we'll do delete ing, and this takes through the ingredient that we want to delete. So in here, what we want to do is update this .ingredients because that's stored right here. We want to take something out of it. So we're going to say this .ingredients is equal to something new, and that something new will be this .ingredients. Then we'll use the filter method to filter through the ingredients and remove the one that we want to. So we take that ingredient as a parameter in this function. So now we can return something here. And remember, we return true or false. If it's true, that ingredient stays in the array. If we return false, we remove it out of the array. So we want to return ingredient not equal to ing, because if ingredient is not equal to ing, then this is true and it will stay in the array. If ingredient is equal to ing, then this will be false, and therefore we will remove that from the array. So let's save this now and give this a whirl. Let's have a look. Add ingredient. We'll say peach and apple. Oops, peach. Okay, a peach apple and a banana. And now we can see these little things here. If we click on one, then it's going to remove it from the array and from the browser. Cool. Now I just want to add a couple of little stars because that didn't look great where it was. So let's scroll down here. And what we'll do is say add -smoothie. And then we want to get the delete class. That was the icon up here. Remember, we added a delete class to this right there. So we'll style that up. And inside here, we want to say the position will be absolute and right is going to be 0. We also want to say the bottom will be 16 pixels and the color is going to be AAA, a light gray. Then the font size, which controls the size of it, will be 1.4 M. And then finally the cursor will be pointer so we know we can click on it. I also want to set this thing to position relative because we're positioning this absolutely relative to this div. This is the containing div. So if we save that now, view this in a browser, banana, peach. Okay, that's not quite right because they're getting positioned right down here. So let's have a look at the CSS again. So that seems right, but let's have a look at the HTML because there could be a problem there. And it is because this here does not have a class of field, so it's not being applied that position of relative, but now it should be. So if we zoom back, then we should see now this thing has the delete icon over on the right. So now if we add something else, apple, it goes there as well. We can delete them like so. Cool, so now we have our index page working, and we also have our add smoothie form working as well. The last component we need to fix up is an edit smoothie component, so we can edit the ones we currently have already created, which show here on the home page. So we need an edit button, which takes us to another component where we can edit that particular smoothie.